Police detectives are experienced police officers that investigate crimes to gather evidence for prosecution. In large police departments, these detectives often specialize in specific crimes such as homicide or sex crimes. The duties of a police detective are to gather facts and collect evidence for criminal cases, determine credible people and information, conduct interviews, examine records, observe suspects, participate in raids and arrests, write detailed reports on findings, and testify in court. Police detectives interact with pretty much anyone that is involved with the crime. This includes other officers and detectives, suspects, witnesses, normal citizens, judges, juries, and many other people involved with the investigation. Police detectives report to corporals, sergeants, lieutenants, captains, deputies, and chiefs. On occasion, detectives might report to lawyers and attorneys as well as local, state, and federal governments.
The value added to firms by detectives is that they are used by the department as resources of information breakdown. Qualified and educated detectives gather reliable data and information by completing an in-depth criminal investigation to create a prosecution case against guilty suspects. By hiring police detectives, the firm can ensure that they have qualified individuals to review criminal activity, which keeps officers on the street instead of having officers patrolling the streets and investigate. So the type of firms represented for the demand are local government, state government, and federal government. In addition, police departments, prisons, courthouse, and federal buildings are all places that require police detectives for support. Now, the demand does vary based on location, employer size, and industry. So for location, areas and locations with higher crime rate are generally going to need the most amount of police detectives. For example, Chicago has a very high crime rate, so it will need more police detectives so they can solve more cases and get suspects out and in much quicker. And so for employer size, the larger the firm or department are likely to have more police detectives than smaller the firms because they are in a higher geographic area and are more likely to be assigned criminal investigations. And so for industries, there are three main police detective industries: local, state, and federal. Generally, local and state firms will have a higher demand for police because they are the majority of investigations will go through a local and state jurisdiction. Because of this, federal government will likely demand less detectives because the majority of cases and investigations should be successfully solved by local and state industries.
Supply for detectives. I want to ask ourselves, who is qualified to become a detective? And what exactly are the qualifications? Well, to answer the first question, it's kind of self-explanatory. We're talking about police detectives, and police officers are best qualified for the job. In order to qualify for detective, you must first complete the policing academy. The academy are designed to teach young or even old the skills and knowledge needed to become an effective police officer. Coursework normally includes criminal law, defensive tactics, conflict management, community policing, investigating procedures, motor vehicle laws, patrol procedures, emergency driving techniques, and first aid firearms. You generally must be a U.S. citizen and at least the age of 21 years. You also must have a valid driver's license and pass a physical fitness test. In addition to testing your level of fitness, the test ensures that you meet vision and hearing standards. To qualify for employment, detectives also must pass a background check, a lie detector test, and a drug test. Felony convictions generally disqualifies individuals from employment as a police detective. A high school diploma or GED is the minimum education required to be a police detective. Although most states prefer that cities, counties, and state policing detectives have an associate or bachelor's degree. Not all police officers can become detectives because not everyone can meet the standards, and everyone can't be at the top of the food chain at once. You have to start off somewhere. What is the optimal skill set to work in this job? Well, I ended up finding three major optimal skill sets. The first one is attention to details. Next, the ability to effectively communicate with others. And then problem solving and critical thinking abilities. Let's first talk about attention to details. One very important skill that all detectives need is the ability to pay attention to details. Many investigations are solved because one very small detail that can crack a case wide open. If small details are overlooked by detectives as they're examining evidence or conducting interviews, it can delay an investigation and hinder justice, and that is a major problem that no one wants. Now, let's talk about the ability to effectively communicate with others. It is also important that detectives can communicate with others, law enforcement, victims, witnesses, potential suspects, and offenders in an effective manner verbally. There are federal and local laws surrounding how interviews can be conducted and what is up for grabs during surveillance missions. Be sure that you can follow these laws and are able to testify if you are called to trial. Next, we have problem solving and critical thinking abilities. A detective's main purpose is to analyze complex issues. You can become a critical thinker in post-secondary programs, but you must be born a problem solver. And you must have the ability to look past any prejudice that you might have as you are investigating the case. Are there job, education / certifications for police detectives? Criminal justice degree. A criminal justice degree is the delivery of justice to those who have committed crimes. Now we have a criminology degree. A criminology degree is the study of crime. Next, we have a forensic science. A forensic science examines and analyzes evidence from crime scenes and elsewhere to develop objective findings that can assist in the investigation and also help with the prosecution. Computer science and technology. A computer science and technology degree is basically you're designing and building computers and computer programming. You're also maintaining and troubleshooting those computers and their network systems and database to ensure that everything runs smoothly. They also take a high school diploma or GED for becoming a police detective.
The overall market change for detectives are meant to grow. Overall employment for police and police detectives are meant to grow 7% from 2020 to 2030, and about 67,000 job openings for police and police detectives are projected on average each year. There are not any jobs created to replace detectives because detectives are needed to examine crimes and prosecute individuals at fault. However, there has been new equipment and new technology to help detectives, such as body cams and dash cams. Police salaries have and will continue to rise due to the poor economy. Crime will likely continue to rise, which means the services of qualified and educated detectives will be demanded at a higher level than before. In addition, as more and more detectives leave the force, whether it be retirement or other reasons, higher wages and salaries will be offered to detectives and candidates in order for the department to ensure that they have enough detectives to successfully investigate criminal activity. The need for detectives is based on how much crime is committed. More crime means more detectives, less crime means the need for less detectives.
Career path. How can and should college students go about getting this job? The basic concept is that you have to become a cop and climb the ranks. This means that you need to obtain more practice and training to become a police detective. You can also get a degree in criminal justice, criminology, forensic science, computer science, technology, sociology, etc. This is depending on your role. Often police departments will seek college-educated detectives since they offer more than the minimum skills required to be a police officer. How can you advance from being a police detective? Being a police detective is actually a promotion from being a police officer, and you can work alongside other police detectives to gain experience. Since being a police detective is more about the practice you have and how you are able to handle yourself in certain situations. It usually takes about 5 to 8 years to make an advance in this career. This is going from police officer to detective. And some skills you might want to have are to be great at interviewing people, so this is having people skills, and interrogation. This is having negotiation skills and understanding human psychology, because that is what police detectives do after the police officers assess the investigation. So again, you have to climb the ranks by having all those good qualities and the practice. If someone is qualified for this profession, what other jobs could they qualify for? Some jobs that you could easily get are being a security guard, correctional officer, or bailiff. This profession could open doors for you, like if you maintain the physical fitness and the tactical skills, you can be a bodyguard for business executives, political leaders, celebrities, or anyone who might be a target of kidnapping, harassment, or assault. You could be a criminal investigator if you get your bachelor's degree in law enforcement, criminal justice, or psychology. Or you could be a private investigator because experience is preferred over education. Your police detective skills will be needed for all these jobs.